Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Ayin Ches Amud Beis. 4 lines from the top. The Gemara continues to discuss when you have 2 chatzeiros side by side with a mechitza that is in between the two of them. As the Mishnah stated, if it's a complete mechitza without any openings, then only each chatzir can independently make an erev chatzeiros, but they cannot enjoin to make one erev chatzeiros between the two of them, unless the mechitza has either a pesach or a chaloin dalid al dalid. Then they have the option of making erev chatzeiros to enjoin the 2 chatzeiros. Our Gemara had discussed many situations when you can go ahead and make it so that the walls between the two will also have a pesach. For example, if there's a sulam, if there is a sulam, a ladder on both sides of the mechitzos, then that ladder will be considered like a pesach, again allowing the 2 chatzeiros to make an erev chatzeiros between the two of them. The Gemara most recently discussed a scenario when you have not a ladder that is 4 tefachim wide, which is required, but let's say you have a ladder that is 2 tefachim in the middle, and then you have on either side kashim. You have straw on the sides of the ladder. So in that scenario, the Gemara had said that you could also use that ladder to then matir the 2 chatzeiros, because since a person normally walks up the middle of the ladder and he can go ahead and hold on to the 2 sides, then it's going to be satisfactory to then allow the kashim to make the width 4 tefachim wide. Now the Gemara asks the following question in regards to combining the 2 chatzeiros. Boi minei Rav Yosef me Rabbo. Rav Yosef asks Rabbo the following question: Asoy li'ilan sulam mahu. As we said before, the sulam itself, if you have a sulam on both sides, then that could be matir the 2 chatzeiros. If it's on one side, then it'll permit the chatzer that is on the side of the sulam to then have access by bringing up kelim using that koisel. Now the Gemara asks if you have an ilan. Now we know that an ilan on Shabbos midirabanan is also, you cannot mishamish bi ilan. Dahainu, the ilan itself, the Chacham were concerned if you would go ahead and either climb the ilan or even lean on the ilan, or sometimes even placing an object on the ilan, you might come to be koitzer, you might come to then take off a branch on Shabbos, which is a malacha di'araisa. So therefore they said you cannot be mishamish bi ilan. So here we're asking if you have the ilan as your sulam, and that ilan is situated as a sulam, can that be used for your mechitza? In other words, if it's going to be on both sides, if we're talking about being matir, if it's only on one side, allowing the people of the bnei chatzer to then have access to that wall. Says the Gemara, Tiboy l'Rabbi, Tiboy l'Rabbanan. We had a machlokes earlier in the Gemara on Daf Lamid Beis Amud Beis. The Gemara had said over there a machlokes in Rebbe and the Rabbanan. They're talking about erev techumin, and there it's speaking about whether you can place your eruv, the pas, in a tree, and then gain your shvisa from that tree, another 2,000 amos. Rebbe says that you can, yes, place your pas in that tree and gain shvisa there, because he argues that since you are acquiring shvisa in bein hashmashos, and since this is an isur dirabanan to be meshamesh bi'ilan, therefore it's satisfactory for the purpose of being koine shvisa for erev techumin. The Rabbanan are choylek. So Gemara says now, Tiboy le Rebbe, Tiboy le Rabbanan. It'll be a question both according to Rebbe's shita over there in regards to erev techumin. It'll also be a question according to Rabbanan and their shita. Tiboy le Rebbe. It'll be a question according to Rebbe again, who says that by erev techumin you may place your eruv, your pas, on the tree and acquire shvisa. It'll be a question to him because as follows: Ad kan lo koma Rebbe hasom. Their Rebbe said his din over there by erev techumin. Kol davar shehu mishum shvus lo gazu alov. In regards to a matter of shvus, they were not goizer. When was that so? Hanimili ben hashmoshois. Aval kuli yom eloi. That's true over there in regards to then the din of tchumin, where it only needs to acquire shvisa at the ben hashmoshois. But over here in our sugya of the Eruv Chatzeros, where you need a Pesach for the entire Shabbos, that you don't have. So therefore, after Ben Hashmoshos, you'll still have an Isser being Meshamish Be'ilon. So therefore, maybe Rabbi would say that problematic. Or Dilma Afil Rabban, or perhaps even according to Rabban, we can ask, Pischahu, it's still a Pesach. The tree, granted in regards to Eruv Techumin, they say you cannot be kind of shvisa on the tree because you might be mishamish be'ilon and so on. But over here, in regards to Erev Chatzeros, this tree that we're saying is a sulam will be a Pesach. The Metzias is that it's a Pesach. And therefore, va'aryahu divravia ale. It's only an arya, it's a lion that is hovering, that is crouching upon it. In other words, a lion over here refers to the rabbinic enactment of being Meshamish Be'ilon. So that should not preclude us from saying that you have a Pesach. Be'ilon is truly a Pesach, and therefore the Rabbanon would be matir over here by Erev Chatzeros. So there will be a shaila in both Rabbi and the Rabbanon. Now, Rav Yosef asked a second question to Rabba. Asula Ashera Sulam Mahu. Assuming that indeed, when it comes to the case of the Elon, we say that it is mutter because it's considered to be a Pesach. Then let's ask a question by Ashera, a type of tree that was used for Avodah Zarah. We know when it comes to an Ashera, it's Asur Bahano. So if you have an Ashera, can you use the Ashera tree as your Sulam? Says the Gemara, it will be a kasha both according to Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanon. Tiboy the Rabbi Yehuda, Tiboy the Rabbanon. Now, Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanon had a machlokes again by Techumin. There, the machlokes where Rabbi Yehuda said that a pas can be placed on a kever, on a gravesite. Even though a gravesite is asur behano, nonetheless you can place your pas on the gravesite because you're not really being nehene. Why? Because the Erev Techumim is really for a mitzvah purpose. First of all, you're not really interested that the bread remain afterwards. You can care less whether you eat the bread or not. You just want to use it in order to be kind of shvisa. And also in regards to the bread itself, what you're trying to do is be kind of shvisa for purpose of Erev Techumin. That's only for mitzvah purposes. And we know when it comes to mitzvah, mitzvahs are lav lehanos nitnu. So therefore it would be permissible over there. Says the Gemara, and the Rabban are choylek. The Gemara says, now, this question that we have, Gabe Asher, will be a question even according to Rabbi Yehuda, as well as the Rabban as follows. Tiboy the Rabbi Yehuda, because ad kan lo ka'omar Rabbi Yehuda, until now Rabbi Yehuda said his din hasam in regards to tchumin. The mutter liknois bayis bi isur hano. Because it's mutter, he says, to acquire shvisa with Isser Hano. Why? Elahasam over there, the basa de kanale eruv lo nechale lenintar. Because once you're kind of the shvisa for Erev Techumim purposes, you're not interested in protecting and guarding the bread. Even if something happens to the bread, it gets lost or ruined, that's fine. You were already kind of shvisa at the time of Ben Hashmoshos. So therefore, there's no real issue of Isser Hano, argues Rabbi Yehuda in regards to Tchumim. So therefore, that's over there. But over here, there will be an issue of being nehene if you use this Elon as a Pesach for your Erev Chatzeros. Oidilma afil l'Rabbanan pischahu. Even the Rabban who argue over there in regards to Tchumin, and they say you cannot leave your Eruv on a kever because it's off limits. It's also behana. They might say over here that you could, yes, use the Asherah for your purpose of Erev Chatzeros, because over here it truly is a Pesach. Again, Dilma afilu l'Rabbanan pischahu va'arya d'Revia ale. Over here, again, the fact that there is an Isser over here, both Midyaraisa of an Isser Hano and Midyarabana being Meshamish Be'ilon, that's only secondary, that's only incidentally. But truly we have the Elon as being a Pesach. And therefore, the Romans say that it would be a Pesach that can be used for the purpose of Erev Chatzeros. or Marley. So that was the question that Rav Yosef posed. Those two questions he posed to Rabbah. The first one being a question in regards to Elon. Can Elon be a Sulam for the purpose of Erev Chatzos? Is it like a Pesach? And secondly, he asked, even if you say that indeed that it's a Pesach, what about an Elon that's an Asherah, which is also Bahana? Can that be used for Erev Chatzos? Or Marley, Rabbah responds, Elon mutter, the Asherah asura. In regards to then using the Elon as your sulam for Erev Chatzos purposes, indeed, it will be mutter, it will be a Pesach, we can use that. However, the second question in regards to Asherah asur, that's going to be asur since asur behano. Maskif lo Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda, he challenges, he argues on Rabbah's response. And he says, Ad Rabbah, on the contrary, Elon she'isur Shabbos gorem loy nitzar. Elon, which is the Shabbos that it causes to be Osir, that should be the problem over here. And therefore, in the case of the Elon as a Sulam, that should then be Osir. Whereas Asher she'isur davar acher gorem loy nitzar. Whereas Asher was something that's independent of Hilchos Shabbos. It's an Isser Hana because of Asherah, but it has nothing to do with actually the Shabbos itself, using the tree. That should be mutter. In other words, Rav Chisda argues and says, it should not be like Rabbah you're saying. The reason why Elon is Osir is not true. It should be permissible because over here, the reason why you're saying Elon is mutter should be Osir because Elon, the prohibition over here is using the Elon, which is directly related to Hilchos Shabbos. Whereas regards to Asherah, is not regarding the direct use of the Asherah in terms of the Shabbos aspect, but rather it's the halacha of Aser Bahana because it's nevad for Avodah Zarah. So that should be mutter. So that's the shita of Rav Chisda. And he says, Itmar Nami, we also have a statement that supports what I'm saying. Ki Aser Ravin, Omar Rabbi Elazar. When Ravin came, he said, name Rabbi Elazar, Va'amrei lo Omar Rabbi Abo, Omar Rabbi Yochanan. When he came from Eretz Yisrael, he said either name Rabbi Elazar or he said Rabbi Abo, who said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Kol she'iser Shabbos garam aloi iser, Kol she'iser davar acher garam loi muter. If it's the Shabbos that is garim, then that itself should make it also because that's really the Hilchos Shabbos itself, and therefore that should be problematic in regards to Erev Chatzos. But if it's something else in regards to the Avodah Zarah, that should not be then making an Isra over here. Then we should say it's a valid Pesach, and therefore it should not have any bearing on the Erev Chatzos. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Masni Nehachi, he brings a third sheet over here. We had Rav Yosef that stated that Elon is mutter, Asher is osir. We just had the second opinion, that's the opinion of Rav Chisda, who said the opposite, that Elon is Osir and Asher is Mutter. And now you have a third shita. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Masni Hochi. Elon plukta de Rabbi v'Rabbanon. Asher plukta de Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbanon. He argues on what we said before. And he says, this is Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, that in Elon, the same machlokes that we had before between Rabbi and the Rabbanon in regards to Chumin, as we explained before, in regards to Chumin, taking the pass and putting the pas, in the case of the earlier case, putting the pas in a makom that is a tree, which is aser b'hishtamshus, ban bein hashmashus. Rabbi maintains that it is mutter, and the Rabbanan says aser. The same machlokes will rear its head over here, because Rabbi says that you go after bein hashmashus, so too over here you go after bein hashmashus. The fact that you have a Pesach ben Hashmoshes is satisfactory. Whereas the Rabbanan say no. If it's not going to be valid, ben Hashmoshes is not going to be valid, then for Erev Chatzos either. And in regards to Asherah, that same machlok is that the Rabbi Yehuda had with the Rabbanan, as mentioned before, that Rabbi Yehuda maintains that you can put an Eruv, a Tchumin, a pass on a kever, even though it's Asir Bahana, and there will say that even if he does want to use the bread afterwards, and it's still going to be something that is Asr Bana, he permits it. So we see over there the same way that he permits it over there, he'll permit it over here by Asherah. Whereas the Rabbanan say no. Once it's Aser Behana, just like by Techumin, we say the same thing when it comes to Erev Chatzeiros.